Hi, I'm Dolly Little, and you're listening to Brother Love Radio.
So my name is Lia Steinman, and I'm graphic artist and cartoonist.
Okay.
And yeah, I involved in this non-profit organization about 8 years ago. Yes, from the very beginning, and yeah, I'm very happy. It's just very human right, and to save humanity, and especially for women suffering from the pain,
Yes.
and we can reverse to pain to pleasure. So I thought, why not to help? So that's my reason.
And you said about 8 years ago then?
8 years ago.
Okay.
Yes, but Critorate is it okay to?
Yes.
Yeah? Critorate sponsored by the one of men called Mitre Ryan.
Okay.
And I'm in his spiritual group.
Okay.
That's how I get to know Critorate organization.
Because what happened was, and it started with the spiritual leader of the Ryan movement, Ryan, who went to Africa back in the early 2000s, and he was on a speaking tour of West Africa, and then he became familiar with this problem, which is female genital mutilation, which is affecting so many women there.
Right.
And so he was on a speaking engagement, and this subject came up, and so many women claim, well, I am a victim of female genital mutilation. So what he felt is the Ryan movement is very much in favor of using science to heal people.
Okay.
And of course, pleasure is very important for our organization because that's the way the human body works.
Right.
Pleasure is very important.
Yes.
And we have no taboo about sexual pleasure, of course.
Right.
That's also very. It's wonderful for your health, for your life. So he said, what could we do? And about at the same time, there is an article that came out that said that this French doctor had discovered a way to reconstruct the clitoris of women that had suffered from female genital mutilation.
Okay.
So there it was. And so he said, well, we should build a hospital in West Africa where we will bring the surgery.
Right.
And so, we have proceeded to do that. But in the US now, there is a surgeon who does the surgery in San Francisco.
Right.
She's a transgender doctor.
Okay.
And her main job is to do gender reassignment surgeries. And so, of course, doing this reconstruction of the clitoris was something very simple for her.
Okay.
So she went to Dr. Foles. She got trained by him. And now we are offering the surgery in the US and pretty soon in Africa as well. So.
Is it difficult to bring, I guess, the women from their native countries to San Francisco?
Yes, it's forbidding.
Right.
You can't because it's too expensive, and the visas usually they don't allow these women to have visas to come to the US.
Okay.
So we have to really have this hospital open in West Africa, in Burkina Faso.
Okay.
We also have another mission that will be coming up in Kenya, where we go right to them and we will be training surgeons because the purpose is, of course, for this to be offered there,
right?
Instead of bringing these people back and forth. So what makes us different from other non-profit organizations that are dealing with female genital mutilation is that we access, what's important to us is giving them back their sexual pleasure.
Right.
You see? Because we have no taboos about that, it's very important for them to feel normal again, to not only to feel normal, to look normal,
right?
For their vulva to look normal,
right?
And then for the pleasure to be there,
right?
And then they will feel like their identity is back,
right?
And for Dr. Bowers, who's a transgender person, she understands exactly what identity is about because, you know, she was a man before and she felt like she was a woman and now she's in her normal woman's body.
Right.
And so for female genital mutilation people, or women, they feel like they are not a true woman. And this surgery allows them to be true women again. And you know, that makes a big difference in their head.
Yes. Yes, it does. And I was doing some research with no luck finding an answer about the origin of female genital mutilation. You know, and what the articles that I was reading it goes back a couple thousand years, but with no definitive, you know,
even
who started it.
Even in the Egyptian times.
Okay.
You know, it was often certain women would be circumcised because these young ladies were going to be destined to the pharaoh.
Okay.
And so they wanted to make sure that she was chaste, she was chaste, that nobody had made love with her, and that she was not going to be running around, you know. And it goes back to always, you know, subduing women.
Right.
You know, so they will be there for the man that they are destined to.
Right.
And so this is kind of like primitive.
Very primitive. And there's several cultures still practicing the female genital mutilation today. And is it, because I'm pretty ignorant on the subject, is it specific tribes or groups within the countries themselves? So I was doing some research, about 29 or so countries still have cultures practicing within the countries, I guess legally?
Legally,
you know?
Some legally, some illegally.
Okay.
There's quite a few countries now that have passed a law against female genital mutilation,
Right.
but the practice is so endemic or so well known that it still keeps going on.
You're trying to break a whole culture of their tradition, which, you know, is very, very difficult to do.
Yes, yes.
You know, even if it's the right thing, the older generation, very stern and strict. You know, we're all probably victims of that at some point in our lives.
But you see, it's the victims themselves that are speaking out.
Yes, it's good.
And that are coming to us and they say, you know, we don't like that.
Right.
And we don't want that for our girls either.
Good.
So we can see that there is they're breaking the pattern.
Good.
And something like this, an interview can make a difference.
Yeah.
The internet, you know, now the women in Africa have access to the internet.
Yes, that's good.
And so they learn what is a normal woman supposed to look like.
Right.
And then how much pleasure they're having. And then they're saying, well, no. And then how come I don't have that? Why did they do that to me? That,
right.
you know, why don't I have access to this?
Yes.
So.
You know, and then the story on the website, the way that they tricked that girl into having her, you know, clit, you know, messed up is like when they sent her to the bathroom, go get soap, and there's two women waiting there for you. What? How crappy is that, right?
Yes.
I mean, wow. You know, and you're doing that to your brothers and your sisters and your aunts and your uncles. What's wrong here? You know, and I don't know, but I'm very happy that you're here to talk about that.
Yes.
And some of the articles that I was reading we're trying to eliminate that, obviously for good reason, within this lifetime.
Yes, within this lifetime.
You know, how much of a challenge is that? How difficult is that? I mean, obviously, we could break down the laws, we could change countries, but the mentality of the actual civilizations where it happens. How many people are involved in reaching out to these groups to help teach these cultures?
So there is quite a few. The WHO organization is involved, you know,
Okay.
from the United Nations. There's a lot going on
Yeah.
at the international level, but they do prevention. And what Clitorate was doing is also assisting the women that are already cut,
Right.
which
Right.
is 125 million of them. It's not just 2 or 3.
Right.
And these women are the best advocates too, because once they've had the surgery or once they realize I don't like my body. Then they are strong advocates against female genital mutilation. So, yeah.
Now, there's another issue here that, because I think in a perfect world, we could reach all, you said 125 million women
Yes.
to correct this situation. That's a long line of women.
Yes.
You know, is that doable? I mean, because it sounded like there's a real struggle opening up the hospital
Yes.
in Africa, right? I mean, look, I was reading the article, you know, about in San Francisco, with success in San Francisco in the States,
Yes.
but then there's religious issues regarding opening up the facility in Africa. And that's the first one?
Yeah, that's the first
Right.
hospital that will open its doors. The discrimination was against. There were two things that happened for the hospital in Africa.
Okay.
There was a doctor in Burkina Faso who does the surgery,
Okay.
but he charged a lot of money. $500, it's like a year's salary for a woman.
Mhm.
So when we arrived with our hospital and said that we were going to offer these surgeries for free, he didn't like it at all.
Okay.
We were, you know, like the competition.
Right.
And so that was one thing, and then the other was a discrimination against the Raidian movement. You see, in Burkina Faso, we have, there's a lot of religions. There's Muslim religion, Christian religion, I mean Catholic, and then different kinds of Christian religions. They all have medical clinics
Okay.
that they offer to the population. So it was not like Burkina Faso is against, you know, different kinds of religions. It's just that for the Raidian movement, there is a lot of antagonism because we're atheistic, and so, you know, the government was against us, and that's really too bad, because this hospital not only will it do female genital mutilation repair, but it will help all the gynecological problems. When you're in a country where that is so poor,
Right.
one of the poorest in Africa. I don't know if you've ever visited Africa.
I have not been.
These, you know, we have no idea on how the people live and how little medical care they have. And here is this hospital sitting closed. I mean,
Right.
It's against fundamental human rights for a president to say, no, this hospital is going to stay closed. And then all the people around need it.
Yes.
It's like, you know, you have food on the table, and the president says, no, you can't touch that food. Wow. I mean, it's so inhumane, and we have no idea. So I'm a bit emotional.
No, and you should be. And this is a new president, from what I understand.
So
He's only been in for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, since 2014.
That's right.
Is that right?
And so what happened is the old president kind of blocked us, and a new one who was working with him before gets elected and of course follows suit.
Okay.
But the women will make it happen, because, you know, women have a voice.
Yes.
And I think that as they come up, you know, as they come ahead and say, you know, we want to be women, we want to
Right.
own our bodies, our sexuality, I think they're going to have enough strength to say, you know, I would just want this hospital, I just want the surgery.
Right.
And this is where I think the strength is going to come from women, you know,
Yes, within, but also I think from support from outside.
from the outside.
Yes.
You know, because political pressure is also a big part of the war. I think, you know, it can come from within, but that can be crushed.
Yeah.
You know, if
Human beings
In
can
a
do
sad
anything
way.
that they want.
Yeah.
Yes, if they put their minds to it. So.
is it hard to reach, I don't know if this is the right term, the Western cultures regarding this to create a buzz, to create a stir? It seems like there's a push,
Yes.
but at the same time it remains kind of invisible. In everyday life, in everyday culture, it's not a topic that comes up a lot. You know, I don't know, other things seem to be more important, like HIV and
Yes.
homosexuality and turning men into women and women into men. You know, it's, you know, Bruce Jenner, and that's the topic of the year or whatever, but
Yes.
nothing wrong with that either.
No,
But I mean,
but I
trying
think
to get a
that.
strong voice.
But I think that the American society is also very, how do we call them?
You can say whatever you want. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. You can be forthright.
So the American society is very, they have a hang up on sexuality,
Yes.
on the nudity,
Yes.
on, we have another website called Go Topless,
I'm going to subscribe right now. Go Topless.
But you see, what is the problem? The nipple. The nipple is what drives people crazy, what is illegal. What is that? So with all these hang-ups, Americans, it's very good that Clitorade is talking about female genital mutilation, but it's also speaking about the clitoris.
Right.
Let's talk about it. American women are culturally mutilated.
Right.
You see, you don't need a knife
Right.
but you also need a culture where you feel it feels good, but it also, I'm a bad girl.
Right.
So it allows us to really bring out the subject, the
Right.
thing. And this is why Clitorade has put together Clitoris Awareness Month,
Okay.
which is the month of May.
Yes. Good.
And so it allows us to really, let's talk about the clitoris, let's show the clitoris, and without shame, without guilt. And so, because this whole culture of female genital mutilation comes from shame and guilt. So we can mention it in all the cultures. And I think when every woman feels no shame, no guilt over their complete body,
Right.
then society will change.
Right. Oh, it's so funny that you talk about that from what we call us, in porno, and we're porn people. It's our own culture, and we're all incestuous because we all fuck each other. But we talk about that. We talk about the civilians. You would be considered civilians. And it is a problem in the United States of America, women's sexuality. We value, I do it, and most of the guys do too, because we really like sexually open women. It's so much nicer, it's so much easier, it's healthier, it's honest, you know what I mean? And then the backward society of the United States of America is very odd, I think.
Yes,
we're a macho nation. Based on war and fighting,
and also the religious, the primitive religions have influenced the way we look at our body, and women have been repressed by the Christian religion that has, the Puritans that came on.
Yes.
Puritanical thoughts. It has shaped the way we think about sexuality, and for the right-hand movement, for Clitorade, it's important to break this.
Yes.
And that may not take one generation, but it's, I think, and young people are much more open now, they see everything on the internet, and they are not fazed, and I think we're counting on this, on the millennia, we call them the millennia kids, to, it's a new world here.
I think they are really getting tired of this old programmation.
Yes.
And they just want to awaken their mind by awakening their body. So,
right. What is sexuality? What is the sexuality, I guess, the national opinion in Japan or in France, let's say? How is it different culturally than in the States? Is there a big religious...
So are they as repressed?
Yes.
I think French people are less repressed than here, than in the US. Like we have topless beaches in France, all over Europe, and so people are not so, repressed about their nudity.
Right.
Already, one step is to accept your body and to feel comfortable with it, and then of course sexuality. So I would say in France there is less repression than in the US.
As for Japan, less repressed compared with here.
Okay.
we have many love hotel, many kind of love hotel for people to make love, for couple to make love.
Okay.
It's so much fun. You should experience
I-
if you go.
Sounds like from the way you smiled, I need to go.
And yeah, and Japan is one of the most porno industry, I guess, with Germany. That's what I had. Japan and Germany is the one of the best porno industry country they have.
Yes.
So yeah, they are very open-minded. If you see the porno in Japanese side, you can tell.
Yes.
But at the same time, in culture, they have a shy to speak about sexuality.
Okay.
That's a very French culture. It's more open-minded to speak out. But at the same time, it's very awkward. It's in Japan. If you ride in train or go to the convenience store, you see just regular men watching the porno book, just like that. They're not ashamed to show off.
Okay.
So it's very confusing culture and education in Japan. Very funny, even to myself.
And at the same time, in April, in Japan, they have the Penis Festival.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that, where they have like a shrine.
We have shrine.
A penis, it's a huge penis that they carry.
Penis, yeah.
Pink penis that they carry in the center of the street.
Okay.
It's like a big parade, and it's like a Shintoist tradition. And so Clitorade approached them, and we said, well, you have the penis there because it's a fertility thing. But why is the penis the only thing there?
Right.
We should also have a vulva.
Yes.
So,
Actually, back in the time, they were respecting for both sex because we need both sex to make child.
Yes.
That's what's for this festival for.
Yes.
To have a baby, healthy baby, we just give respect to celebrate. But somehow this shrine leader said people doesn't like disgust looking at vagina because of old programmation.
Yes.
That's why they just put the vagina back in behind the shrine.
they don't carry it around.
Yeah, they don't carry.
Okay.
But you see the candies in both sex if you want to have a
You
candy.
can have a penis popsicle or a vagina popsicle.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
But in the big size, it's like too much. So Clitorade would like to have a big vagina walking around, maybe in front of the penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it should be in front of the penis, in theory. It can't be behind it.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, because one is chasing the other.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, but maybe both ways, I don't know. But so it's another way to break a taboo.
Yeah.
You see the taboo, the penis was okay, but the vagina back behind the doors.
Maybe we can get a large vagina this year at Burning Man.
Oh wow!
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Especially
We come,
yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And we can crawl in it. And
Yes.
Yes, make the tunnel vast
Yes.
and wet and humid.
Toenail, yeah.
It's hot.
A huge clitoris.
Yes. We're all and everybody's required to lick. To walk down the tunnel, you have to lick it first. You have to stimulate the clit,
Uh-huh.
and it will sense. Then you can walk down.
And then the doors will open.
That's right. Easy access if you just stimulate it properly.
Yeah.
It's good.
But for Go Topless, we have Go Topless Day in all around the United States. And we have a big parade in New York City.
Okay.
And there we want to have a big float with a huge pair of breasts,
Yes.
of course with the nipples.
Yeah.
So that people, okay, it's so big, now I can't avoid it.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen it, I didn't die. And so I think we have to make things super big,
Right.
so people just get over it, laugh, and okay. It's not gonna bite me.
No, it shouldn't bite you, but it can hit you in the face. Have you seen the topless nuns on Fremont?
Yeah?
I love those. I love those ladies on Fremont Street. They
Yeah.
dress as nuns every night. They're part of the street scene down there. They have the boobs out.
Ah, really? I
They're
wanted
fun.
to do that someday. Actually, for next topless, I had this idea. Maybe how about I'm disguised as a nun and then being topless? It's good education for that.
Yeah.
Good. This is good because we also have a Go Topless parade in Venice Beach.
Okay.
And that's on August 28th.
Okay.
Big event.
Yeah. I haven't been in California in 3 years, but I'm aware of both, especially because I'm a California native.
Because we have to hit both areas of the body that are the most repressed.
Well, let's not forget about the backside of women.
Yes.
Some of us here in the porn world and in real life like the butts too.
Sure.
There's something to the hourglass figure of the lady and the hips.
Yeah, that's the next step.
Yes.
That's the next step.
Let's just say let's be naked. But it's funny because I've been reading a lot about the Bible. I've been avoiding the Bible for years. I grew up in the temple and I hated going to temple. I'm the wicked child according to the Passover Seder. I would speak as you, not us. So I am the wicked child. But I always thought that I couldn't get past Genesis. Just the lineage of the families of Adam with people exceeding 900 years of life. To me, as a kid, it was just a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
So I couldn't read it. And recently, sex in the Bible has become a topic on my show.
Uh-huh.
Because there's a lot of sex. To me, the Bible's like the original porn script.
Sure.
There's a lot of porno in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And filthy porno. When you're talking about
Oof.
Lot being roofied by his 2 daughters that have sex with him to conceive the family bloodline. So there's so much incest in the Bible. Right from the beginning. It's good. It's like a great soap opera. Man, you got me. And I'm like, if you guys would have taught me this in the temple, I'd have been there every day. But you're so boring. But then, masturbation, if you masturbate, obviously May's coming up. Masturbation's a big deal in May. But masturbation, man, you're just dead in the Jewish culture.
We should mention where the masturbation comes from, though. The masturbation month.
Let's talk about, because I saw a couple articles on Masturbation Day.
Masturbation month, and you know why? And maybe your listeners will remember, during the Clinton administration, there was a Surgeon General, her name was Jocelyn Elders.
Right.
And it was a time there was a lot of AIDS, the AIDS was a big problem. And so she said, well, the young people who have reached puberty and they have lots of sexual thoughts, why don't we suggest that they masturbate?
Right.
Masturbation would be a good alternative, so they are safe. And for that remark, she got fired from the Clinton administration.
Right.
And that remark was made in May, and so May became Masturbation Month.
What has become of that? What has become of her? As an educator,
she's still around. She's much older now.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you read her biography, even on Wikipedia,
yeah.
Whoo, she's a great woman.
Yeah.
And with Clinton, with all the the things he did, I'm thinking, why is he firing her?
Right.
It was right up there. So, yeah.
So how do you masturbate? I mean, look, we all know how to masturbate. There's masturbation festivals. I'm trying to figure this out because I was online. I'm like, well, what do you do for a month? That's different than do we get mass social media and everybody just masturbates at the same time, like a I don't know what the word is, but that's a circle jerk, but with men and women, not just men.
So there is a lady named Dr. Betty Dodson.
Okay.
You know her, right?
I'm not familiar with her, so I gotta research her. Okay.
She is a
Dodson?
Dr. Betty Dodson. She has been a sex therapist for the last 50 years, 70 years. She's older now. And so she has organized seminars for women called Self-Love, where we are several women, maybe 15,
okay,
that have like a masturbation workshop.
Okay.
And I participated in one. It was extraordinary.
Okay.
Women don't have the same outlook on sexuality as the men, when they're together. And so that workshop was so beautiful, so full of love.
Right.
It was extraordinary. Depending on how you feel.
Right.
This for me, this was a beautiful, sharing with sisters.
Right.
And it wasn't so much to turn each other on, because we were not lesbians. There may have been lesbians, I don't know.
Right.
We were not there because we were lesbians, but just to share into this energy, which was wonderful. So
you brought a book out here.
I did. I don't know if
Sensual meditation. Okay.
And so this was written by Rael.
Okay.
From the Radiant movement.
Okay.
And so it says awakening of the mind by awakening the body.
Okay.
And for us, it's fundamental.
Okay.
If you're stuck here, you're stuck here.
Okay.
And if you're stuck here, you're stuck there.
Okay.
So you can try to open the mind, which is what we're trying to do with Kotopless and of course Clitoray. But so both ways, you talk about it, you show it, all these things will open, it will go both ways. And the reason why it's important to open both the mind and the body, besides the fact that we live in this entity and we have to feel good about it, is to be connected with infinity. You know what we are made up of? We are made up of little cells, and we have infinitely small inside of us. And around us we have stars and galaxies, but maybe we live inside somebody's body, and we live where they are looking at a bigger universe.
Right.
So infinitely small, infinitely large. And when you feel pleasure, you are in harmony with infinity. Infinitely small, infinitely large. It's a way to be connected with the environment that you make up.
Okay.
And that, makes you up. So there is a pleasure is important for your spirituality. It's fundamental. And you were mentioning, the temple.
Yes.
And so I think we need to mention a little bit about the origin of the Radiant movement.
You should, because I was reading it, and I thought when you had mentioned the struggles of the atheism?
Yes.
With the hospital versus the religious, beliefs in in Africa. I kind of got an internal chuckle, not in a bad way, but because I read the website, and his, meeting with an extraterrestrial, let's say.
Yes.
And so I thought that, well, if they went and visited your website and put two and two together, the Riley movement and how the basis of Clitoray, how it got started, and they were like, these people are full of it.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of believers and aliens and this hoopla, blah, 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 blah. So, that's a challenge.
Sure.
Because people don't want to take that serious.
No.
Even if it is serious. And there's a lot of people, because I've met other people, I'm sorry to interrupt, that have similar experiences with other people that have met aliens.
Yeah.
Right?
So the aliens we're talking about, those that, the one that Rael met.
Yes.
He is part of a population of extraterrestrials called the Elohim.
Okay.
Elohim,
Okay.
which is a biblical term.
Yes.
If you go back to the original Bible, it doesn't say God created this, God created that. It says Elohim created this or that. And Elohim is a Hebrew word. It means those who came from the sky. It's plural, because the singular would be Eloha. So we're not talking about goofy people, in the, like these little green men. We're talking about the population of extraterrestrials who had the science, the intelligence, the technology to come to Earth and create life here in their image. So you have a population of extraterrestrials on the planet, maybe not so far from away, that created life scientifically here. And one day, us, the human beings, maybe we'll do the same thing. We'll find a planet and create a population of human beings there in our image. And so when these Elohim created life, they created the penis. They created the, this whole thing.
Yes.
And so how could we feel guilty about something that we were created with in the image of our creators.
Right.
This is where you know, when we feel guilty about our body or about our sexuality, we are completely against the creators. So that's why we are driven to lift this guilt. It has no reason to be there. No reason to be there.
That's such a huge challenge because it's like the second verse in Genesis, and Adam and Eve found guilt, or whenever Genesis 2, right? The very end of you know, when they bite the fruit in the garden, right? Then there's the awareness, and they recognize that they're naked, and then there's shame.
Yes.
Instantly, shame on the human body.
Yes.
Right? And then throughout, I think, you know, the first slaves came from Noah's son, because Ham or whatever, the father of the Canaanites, saw Noah naked, and it was shameful. This huge thing, like, so he became his brother's slaves. I'm like, my goodness, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's primitive, and we need to deal with it. I mean, it's horrible that we have to live our lives by these primitive beliefs. I mean, we have this. We really have the center of this problem is religion.
Yes.
You know, and the Almighty God. And so you were mentioning earlier how, you know, or they may think that you're goofy because you're thinking about extraterrestrials.
Right.
Yeah, but when you think, you know, when you believe in an Almighty being, who's the goofiest here? The person who thinks that we were created by a population of extraterrestrial human beings,
right? Or
somebody who believes that there is an Almighty being that created everything perfectly,
right?
And then that feels that, you know, we should feel guilty about our bodies.
Right.
Who's the goofiest? You know, when you look at things closer,
it's hard because the human mind wants to deny that stuff. You know, I don't know how accurate this is or not, because I tend not to believe 99% of the stuff that is in the media.
Yes.
Almost everything I just look like, that's bullshit. But when you see homosexuality in the church, and a population of churchgoers, you know, it's like, where do you guys draw the line on the beliefs and the system and the faith and your own leaders? You know, at some point, does something click in? Because, you know, coming full circle, the women who were involved in female genital mutilation are having an awakening, right? And it comes from the parents who don't want to see the same horrific stuff happen to their children. Look, I'm a parent, I have 2 kids, I know. You know, and I don't know the wiring of most parents, but my brain is wired to say, hey, I want everything for you that can make you better than where I came from.
Sure.
You know, and I when I hear stories like the one in your article where the girl was tricked into this, having her vagina mutilated, I'm like, wow, it's not okay. And the kid's 5 years old. How do you do that?
But you see, the American population does it in another way. For example, I don't know if your children are, if you have a little girl.
She's 6 and my son is 5.
So when you go to the swimming pool and you tell your little girl to wear a bra, you are also influencing the brain. You're also saying, oh no, this is indecent, but your brother, it's okay.
Right.
And what is she learning? Well, there must be something dirty, so I cannot show. But they look exactly the same.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely do.
It can be extreme, cutting, or it can be subtle. Don't do that. Oh, don't touch yourself. Oh, don't. That's inappropriate. Look at the schools the kids in the schools, you know, the teenagers. Oh, you're not supposed to be wearing this. Oh, that's too short. Oh, that's too this.
Right.
Oh, that's indecent.
The dress codes, yes.
Hey. So all this time, you know, we are not teaching people to deal with their sexuality.
Right.
You know, when you have teenagers, they are full of hormones. Well, they have to deal with it.
Right.
And they have to respect the women, because they're not going to go around raping anybody. You have to teach them that.
Right.
But you cannot say, okay, hold back here.
Right.
No, you know, I think that education has to be done in a different way.
Yes, but in a safe way, because it's not going to change overnight. So, you know, my philosophy with my children is, number one, when they're home they can be naked however. I don't care. But when you're in public, and especially with my daughter, and especially because I do porn, and I'm fairly open-minded, and I think most of the men in porn are as well, because it's funny. The children that we get first is always a daughter. The porn guys always have a daughter. So we had to think twice about all our macho egos and these things, and but in public it's different. So when I'm teaching my daughter about her sexuality and her body, it's like, listen, you can do whatever you want in the comfort of your own home. This is where we live. This is where you breathe. This is where we feel comfortable. But sometimes when we're out in other places, we have to respect other people's views.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to avoid saying you're not to be ashamed of your body.
No.
You're supposed to respect other people's views on life. So I think one of the things that's coming up now that she's becoming 6 and going on 7 is we're going to spend time visiting different religious cultures as part of that mental training. Mm-hmm. This is how these people believe, good or bad, and these are the people that you will be encountering in life. And it goes with the nudity. So if at time when you feel like you want to be naked, then you have the opportunity to go somewhere in the world where that's culturally acceptable. So.
Well.
Okay, I'm gonna get an earful. Please hit me with it. Nadine Gary's gonna mess. All right.
So, we have men and we have women in the society.
Yes.
The Constitution, Amendment number 14 says everybody should be treated equally. And when you say to your daughter, well, you cannot be topless out by the pool, for example,
right,
because we have to respect, other people's beliefs and stuff.
Yes.
You're not respecting the Constitution. What you're respecting, yes, is other people's primitive beliefs.
Right.
And so, to me, it's important to want to start tackling that. You're in the porno industry, okay, yes. So you have open-minded people, but all these other people who are very conservative and you're living by their rules, what is why do we have to live by their rules, which is anti-constitutional? So I think we have to use the fact that women and men are equal in their sexuality. They have the same rights. No, I'm not any dirtier
right.
than you because I feel like having sex, for example.
Right.
And we have to push it onto society. We have to make a difference. And your daughter, for example, in Canada, it's legal, in certain places it's legal to be topless by the pool.
Right.
And I was seeing an article where a little girl who's 6 years old didn't wear her top, and the guy at the pool had her put it back on. Well, the mom sued the city because he was not respecting, the law.
Right.
So we have to be careful that we don't hide behind tradition, because FGM is a tradition, and many of our the moms that have done the FGM on their daughters said yes, we did it in terms of tradition because everybody else was doing the same thing, and we didn't want our daughter to be ostracized.
Right.
So in any way we have to okay, we want them to fit in, but I don't know if I want my daughter to fit in. If you want to change society, the children, they are going to be the first ones.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll work on it. It may not come overnight.
And then of course your wife has something to say, because daughters, moms are maybe best to teach, for her to teach her daughter.
Well, I'll have to ask her to.
You see, because she already has a program there for the daughter,
right.
For the children. Then, we have one way with our adult friends, and we have another way with with our children. How do we educate them?
Right. Well, that's a whole other story, and that'd be very interesting.
For us, with the Riley movement, with clitorid, with go topless, we want to revolutionize this society. Because if we don't, you stay in the status quo.
Right.
The conservative people are going to keep saying, "Oh, you have to respect me." No, we have to respect the Constitution. We have to respect our human nature.
Right.
And you know, it doesn't hurt anybody for me to show my nipples or to talk about my clitoris or to feel sexual thoughts.
Right.
I think we have to challenge ourselves because we always fall back into, I wonder if it's, you know, decent, if it's right for me to do that.
Right.
And the pressure is big, huh? Everybody.
It is big pressure, you know. I think at the end of the day, nobody wants to be lynched.
No.
You know, and I think that's where.
And FGM women, mom, you know, the
Yeah.
mom who they don't want their daughters to be lynched. So eventually they fall into the pressure that nobody's going to talk to her. And
Right.
I've spoken to some of my my patients, and they said, well, you know, my mom did it to me because, you know, I was sitting at school. Nobody would sit with the daughter because she hadn't been circumcised.
Right.
And so eventually you just give in. But should you? You
No.
see?
No. Yeah, you're right.
I like this famous word, the quote. It's called repression create obsession. So more you hide, especially boys or masculine people would like to open up, you know.
Right.
But the more you be natural with your body and be proud of it and be harmony with yourself, then people be slow, feeling slow, like after masturbation. You don't want to violence people, you know. You want to be peace with people.
Right.
So that's what we're creating for the future, you know. To make the paradise together, to respect everybody's body and everybody's right, human right.
Right.
Yeah, to be natural.
It's the Rileyan Society. Is that right? How did you get involved with this? I mean, you see, there's an aura about both of you. You're glowing, by the way, and it's not a pregnant glow. There's a glow. You know what I mean? So, is that something that came natural to you, or when you discovered the movement, what got you involved in that? Because there's some peace and harmony, and you're discussing it a lot.
My mom, who is Rileyan, gave me a book.
Okay.
The book was called Intelligent Design,
Okay.
A Message from Extraterrestrials. And I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
I read this book, couldn't put it down. It was like, wow, so interesting. It took passages of the Bible and it explained, you know, the true meaning of those things, you know, from how the primitive interpreted this and how it was meant to be interpreted.
Okay.
And then, you know, and I thought, this origin of life like that, you know, where we were created by people like us.
Right.
Like there's, on another planet, there's a woman that looks like me, you know, and she's shaped like this, and she's not almighty.
Right.
You know, she makes mistakes, but, you know, with the science. And I thought, this is, I like that. This makes sense to me. It's a scientific explanation, and you know, the idea of God and sin is removed.
Right.
It really fit in my brain perfectly. So that's how I got involved.
For my case, I actually was a hippie. I was really deep in a hippie. I was smoking every day. And you know, at that time, I was like all the other young people, tired of life. You know?
Yeah.
Because you see TV, so many violence and so many complaints, people are not happy, then you feel tired of watching those stuff.
Yes.
And then one day, my ex-boyfriend said, he found some Radian book on the internet, and then he said, Lia, what would you do if all the prophet is living, was true, and the new prophet is living in this time together, and UFO, he talked about UFO, and I was atheist. I was really didn't like God, and you know, I had some experience.
Okay.
And then but when I hear about UFO or prophet or Buddha or Moses, Jesus was really there, and he talked about DNA, and I was like, okay, let me open the book, and then I open and start reading. I couldn't stop. 1 week I read all the book I can find on this line, and it makes sense. Then it changed all my life. I stopped smoking, and then I had a healthy life to enjoy fully with my pleasure. Yeah.
And the symbolism, the symbol, is that sacred geometry. What does it represent?
The symbol of infinity.
Okay.
So
it's not a figure eight.
No, because the figure eight would be infinity in time. No beginning, no end.
Okay.
And the figure eight in our symbol is the swastika. I don't know if you see the swastika in the center.
Yes.
And the swastika, which you find in Buddhism and Oriental cultures, means infinity in time. It's like a cycle, like a circle.
Yes.
That keeps going and going. So what makes you up today will make up something else tomorrow.
Okay.
Moves on, right?
Okay.
But the Star of David, you have a triangle that points down.
Yes.
And one that points up. That's infinitely small, the little cells inside us, and infinitely large. That's what it is. So, yeah, it's infinity. And in infinity, you cannot have a God. Unless you think God is infinite, but if it's infinite, it has no bearing on you. It has no consciousness. It's just infinity. So, yeah. So we are a creationist, atheist religion. Because we don't believe in a God. Because it's Elohim who created us.
Okay.
They are not forever. They are human beings like us.
Okay.
They can live longer than we do because of science.
Okay.
But they cannot, they are not, they will be back to infinity one day.
Okay.
So.
I have to read it now. Okay, I almost got into it this morning. So I was reading some of the text, starting with the Genesis, obviously.
Sure.
And I didn't get a chance to look into it. Let's get back to the female genital mutilation really quick here.
Is it okay if I go bathroom or should I?
Yes. The first door where you came from, right down the hallway.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I could see.
Bye.
The success. How many women have been involved in the clitoris repair? I mean, are there a lot of success stories with that?
Yeah, so we've had about 300 women that got the repair.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, I know.
It is awesome.
It's wonderful. And so what we do is, it's not only the repair, we also try to do the therapy, like sexual therapy.
Okay.
Because once you have your clitoris reconstructed,
Right.
it's kind of like somebody, that maybe when you had a finger repair,
Right.
when if you cut off your finger, you had a repair, then you need to re-educate, you need therapy, physical therapy.
Okay.
And so for the clitoral therapy, we have to teach them to masturbate.
Okay.
And to feel comfortable with it, because when you had female genital mutilation,
Right.
often you have the taboo. Still, the taboo is still up in the head.
Okay.
So they have to let go of that and not feel dirty,
Right.
because often they are waiting for their boyfriend or their husband to please them.
Yes.
But first you have to make peace with you. And
Right.
you have to, okay, how does this work, and then you invite, okay. So it's a lot of masturbation,
Okay.
and we are trying to, and maybe somebody who listens to this show will help us.
Okay.
There's this new vibrator called the Womanizer.
Okay.
I don't know if some.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look it up and find out about it later.
The Womanizer is a vibrator that gives you an orgasm without
Okay.
touching your clitoris. It's kind of like a suction device.
Okay.
And that would be, we would love to have, because they need a vibrator to masturbate at first to
Okay.
recover their senses, their
Okay.
sensation. So, and we've used different kinds of vibrators, but sometimes it's a little bit too sensitive for them.
Right.
And it can be irritating on the skin.
Okay.
That vibrator, the Womanizer, if we could get, some organization to donate some of these vibrators to us for our patients, that's part of the therapy for us. And because of the suction, it would not irritate their skin.
Okay.
And while giving them, she's tried it.
Okay.
So she can tell us more
Oh,
about
I had my finger in one of those a couple weeks ago.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. This one here.
That's
the
right.
suction cup thing.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
So you had your finger.
Yeah.
We're talking about the womanizer.
Yeah, I saw the toy.
That's awesome.
My favorite toy.
Yeah, I was at the Love Store on
Yeah.
Rainbow, and they had it in the front display. So of course I had to put my finger in it.
You need to give one to your wife, yes?
You know what? Yeah, possibly, probably.
She would love it, I think. One to your mom too.
Very good. Fine. I'm gonna let my mom know this is.
I'm saying that because, I was talking about Betty Dodson,
Okay.
the sex therapist who's helping us with clitoris. She said that one of the first things that she did is she taught her mom to masturbate.
Okay.
When she was in her early years, What a wonderful mother-daughter relationship, where the mom had been brought up to be, so repressed, and the daughter was, a hippie girl at the beginning, very emancipated,
Okay.
and then went back to the mom and said, isn't it how?
That is going to be funny because you know what? I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, but I'm going to time
Mother's Day
it.
is coming.
Yeah, you're right. There you go. So I'm going to have to get two on order.
Is it an open-minded lady or what?
We'll find out. We'll find out. I think for the most part, she's pretty open-minded.
So how does it
We'll
feel,
see.
this womanizer?
It's a very gentle toy, I would say. All the other toys stimulate on clitoris I
Right.
have is very strong. So
Yeah.
the day after you feel sore, if
Sore.
you play so hard. Because
Yeah.
when I masturbate, I cannot stop. Sometimes I do 1 hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
So, but this one, even though you do as long as you do, you don't have sore to feel muscle ache. Yeah.
Okay.
You can just enjoy infinite time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you so that's like
So
a
is it
an
so?
ad campaign. Yes.
It's stimulate around the clitoris.
Okay.
It's
But not direct on it.
not that.
Okay.
But
It doesn't touch. It's just
Okay.
it
has
sucks.
the sucking.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And for our patients that have had so much surgery in that area, it would be perfect because it wouldn't irritate. This
Okay.
very, very, very sensitive tissue.
Okay.
So
That's the thing. I'm gonna put that on my to-do list for Monday. I'll call them up and see if we can get them to donate 100.
oh wow,
I'll
that
call
would
them
be that would
Let's
be
see.
extraordinary.
All right, call them up. Call them Monday. Okay. That's easy. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know if they'll do it, but I'll get them to at least donate a couple for sure. That'll be fun.
One for you, Nadine.
Yeah, you gotta try it first. You have to know how it feels
you have to
in
know
order
how
to
it
pitch
feels.
it.
Yeah.
But we don't work with the fingers at all. Do they? I mean.
Yes, of course.
For
They work.
masturbation?
Of course, they work with the fingers. They
Okay.
work with anything that they feel sensitivity with. So,
Running water, maybe bathtub, possibly.
Sure. We give them, all these options. So,
Okay. And now, when they're done with the medical procedure,
Mhm.
and they're starting to go to, let's call it physical therapy.
Yeah.
Physical therapy for the clitoris.
Yes.
What happens next? Do we send them home, and then now they have the vibrator? Because then
But
it's like
but it takes
putting them back into the wild. We're like,
It takes a while though to. So from the time of the surgery to the time that they can actually start masturbating,
Yeah.
it's 3 months.
Okay.
So it's a long time. So
Okay.
they're already home. So we coach them, through Skype. We coach them through, different ways.
Okay.
So that, and I really mean coaching them because it's not only telling them, okay, do this, do that,
Okay.
but it's also making them feel good about it.
Okay.
Because, you still reject, you still feel, is it okay to do that, to touch myself?
And when they go back, then I would imagine that it's probably part of the awakening. Now you need to teach the young ladies and the older women how you feel and continue bringing more people to the States or hopefully when the hospitals open up. Now, was there a second one opening up?
No, there is we are partnering with somebody from the Gambia, which is also another Western nation.
Okay, that's what I read. Okay.
In Africa. So, and this lady who is head of this organization just got her surgery 3 months ago.
Okay.
And is starting to feel wonderful.
All right, let me just give a station identification because this is radio. You guys are listening to BrotherLoveRadio.com. We're sitting here with clitoray.org. Western Hemisphere representatives?
Yes.
Okay.
She's head of Clitoray.
Head of Clitoray.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., okay.
Yes.
Leah Steinman, Nadine and Gary. Beautiful people, beautiful women. Oh, sexually open.
Yeah.
And we're trying to free the boobies. Free the nipples.
Yeah, free the nipples and then free the clitoris.
Right.
And then free the mind.
Right. Let's stop female genital mutilation.
Yes.
Number one. You know, is there social media or basically just a website for the contact for people to get a hold of you for donations?
We're on Facebook. We're on,
okay, good.
Twitter, and
And you have a bunch of videos up, by the way. I was watching several of those, so there's a lot of people that have followed you. Have you been able to travel through working with Clitoray?
No. We are both volunteer. Everybody is a volunteer.
Okay.
Even the surgeon, they are not paid. Nobody's paid.
Okay.
So.
Then that's a legitimate nonprofit.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nobody's driving a Bentley.
No. Oh my goodness. No.
Yeah, I mean that's realistic, right? Some nonprofits are really profits. You know, so that's good.
I meant to add something. Yes. So on May 7th,
yes,
we're going to have something wonderful.
Okay.
It's a web conference.
Okay.
Called My Body, My Clitoris.
Okay.
And so all women, all men are invited to come
Well.
And then so for 1 hour, we're going to have some guest speakers talking about the clitoris, how to, everything that we should know. Because it's very unknown or something that is, coming back to the shame. But here we want to celebrate it.
Right.
And so our graphic designer, Lia, here is putting together a wonderful video for the beginning of the web conference, where she is going to be compiling a bunch of pictures of vulvas that women are sending to us, because it's part of the campaign, you see.
Okay.
Send an anonymous picture of your vulva, celebrate your body, celebrate your clitoris, and she's going to put it together and show at the beginning of this web conference.
Making a slideshow
And will that be able to be viewed directly from clitoray.org?
So it will be viewed from there, but if people want to be in the conference, they're welcome to.
Okay.
It's like a Zoom room, and so there's 500 spaces there.
Okay.
So you can come and be part of it.
That's and that's here in. Is that going to be held in Las Vegas?
So it's online. It's a web conference.
Got it. Okay. It's clicking, and the way you just made it, it sounds 500 people. There was actually going to be an auditorium. Okay, 500 people. Okay, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, I'll be on it. That'll be fun.
Even in Australia, people from Australia coming in, and so that's with with the internet, you can be a bunch of people together from different continents, and if they're on the same time zone, then it works out perfectly.
That's awesome. What goals are we looking forward to seeing in 2016 from clitoray.org? Is there something that's happening quickly that we don't know about? I mean, obviously, we're trying to eliminate female genital mutilation, but what's the next step? Where do we go from here?
Right. So spring of 2017, we have our mission in Kenya.
Okay.
Where for the first time in this, we are going to be visiting this country and operating on hopefully 80
okay.
Patients.
Okay.
And then training a doctor. So that's one short-term goal. And then we keep continuing the work. We're going to be training 2 surgeons in June.
Okay.
Dr. Bowers is going to do that in San Francisco. 2 surgeons from the United States.
Okay.
Because eventually we want in the US for this to be, it's not a very complicated surgery. It's about a 1-hour surgery. So many gynecologists could offer it if they were trained in it. Okay. So that women in Atlanta don't have to travel to San Francisco to get their surgery. They could do it right there in Atlanta if there was a doctor. So we want to open this up to the whole, all of the United States. So it becomes, because there's 500,000 women that are suffering from female genital mutilation in the US. 500,000, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Uh-huh.
That's definitely not something that's talked about. We assume that it's all in Africa, right? I mean, when I hear about it, I mean, that's a problem in Africa.
Sure.
It's not right here on my doorstep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of women to heal.
Yeah.
And so 2016, 2017 is certainly the goal, to spread the news among gynecologists as well, and offer this as widely as possible.
Do we want to maybe say thank you to anybody that's been, unless they want to remain anonymous, but is there anybody that has been a big donator or donor? I mean, I would imagine that through campaigning there's probably been several angels that have participated in funding the nonprofit.
Well, we are sort of like Bernie Sanders. We have had a lot of smaller donations.
Okay.
Okay. So, but Dr. Bowers has been an enormous contributor.
Right. That's huge.
Both financially and in giving her time for the surgery.
Okay.
She's an angel.
Okay.
This woman is an angel, and so yeah, I would like to acknowledge her. Okay. For this. But if any of your listeners would like to donate. Right. And help this mission in Kenya, help any of those things that we're doing in the US, it would be so appreciated. Even to buy vibrators, for the girls, because it's not only, like I said, not only the surgery, but the post-surgery therapy we need to deal with. And,
well, with your permission, would it be okay if I put links on my media?
Sure.
To clitoray.org?
Yes.
Okay.
We would be very thankful.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do there. We're going to get clitoray.org on the front page of my social media, my blog, and so forth. And then we're going to do our best to get several of these vibrators over to, where we just mail them in, or have them, they can contact you directly for shipping or whatnot, or send them directly to San Francisco or wherever they need to be.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much for coming in. I mean,
thank you so much.
I know there's much more, but that gives me the opportunity to invite you back.
All right.
Okay. Nadine, Gary, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lia Steinman, thank you very much. Clitoray.org on brotherloveradio.com. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Trisha Parks, and you're listening to Brother Love Radio.